Welcome to Real AI Now, the podcast about real applications of AI in business, brought to you by Twimpulse. My name is Marc Giombetti, and I'm the product manager at Twimpulse, and I'm your host on today's show of Real AI Now. This podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and to like the episode. Today's session is about artificial intelligence and digitalization trends within insurance. Insurance has been one of the first adopters of AI, and today we're diving into this topic with my guest, Jussi Tommola. Hello, Jussi.
Nice to be here, Mark.
Yeah, thank you for...
We see each other.
Thank you for being here today. So for our listeners and viewers, Jussi has 15 years of experience in the insurance sector, and now he's fully dedicating his time in the innovation space of insurance. He has been working on behalf of many companies globally and living across the globe in Finland, UK, and Spain. And currently, Jussi is the CEO and founder of YellowMay, and the world's only international insurance marketplace that compares and analyzes insurers based on the terms and conditions. So YellowMay aims to provide a streamlined high-quality service through the company's business-to-business interactions. So to do so, Jussi brings a wide understanding on the differences in cultures from living abroad, and has brought all that experience into YellowMay. So from indication, Jussi holds an EMBA from the Henley Business School. And on a side note, he's also the head coach for the Finnish men beach volleyball team. Jussi has 2 children, lives in Helsinki, and is one of the happiest countries in the world, as I remember. I'm very happy to have Jussi here, so welcome again.
Thank you. I think people are a bit even more happier than after Sunday when we won the Ice Hockey World Championship. So I think there was a lot of happy people here.
Okay, fantastic. That's excellent. So I think this episode could have been about AI and analytics in sports, but let's stick to insurance for today. So Jussi, from your experience, what are the main challenges for insurers today?
Well, insurance is definitely in a state that many of the industries around insurance are moving ahead with, I would say, increasing speed. And this causes challenges that partially the existing business models, what insurance has been building upon for now centuries already, they are actually being challenged very heavily. So it comes all the way down from climate change, where you don't know where the weather is going, up to a point that there's someone controlling your data in a completely different way than it was being done before. So it's kind of like the world around is moving, and definitely insurance companies and the insurance industry is feeling the pressure to be able to meet up those demands as well outside of the industry.
Okay, so lots of, let's say, outside challenges, and I guess also inside challenges, improvements of internal processes. How can digitalization help there, and how can tools like artificial intelligence and the like address those problems?
Well, there's a lot of been discussion already back in the I think this already started 15-20 years ago when computers started to be more commonly, really commonly used. It's funny to think that it's a bit more than 20 years, and then really everyone has a PC. So from that sense, that how long does it take that you need for the standardized processes, for example, in an insurance company, that you need actually human touch anymore? I think that definitely the boundary is moving towards that the artificial intelligence can make more complex, they can control more complex products. But also, I think from the sense what we're seeing now from the industry is also that there are products that are completely automated, so that the AI calculates premiums, it calculates the optimal are actually being faced. In the future, you as a buyer, a product which an underwriter has been completely an artificial underwriter. So it's not anymore man-made or human-made in that sense. So definitely in from the product aspect. Then looking at internal processes, really, there it's a lot to do with looking into that, how you are delivering products in the future. And I think that is definitely a lot of the strategical discussions on a high level as well in the insurance companies, that how they approach the market areas there. So is it internally done? Is it externally done? Whom to partner up with? Who would be the best provider to this area, and so forth. So it's a lot of, insurance has been traditionally very good in networking, but they've been mainly networking kind of like they still have been having the control of the product. But if the product is AI based, then kind of like what are you building around it? It's very interesting in that sense.
Okay. So I hear a bit two aspects. So one, I mean, you touched a bit on the topic of parametric insurance, right? I think that's the kind of type of insurance you're describing. How is consumer behavior changing also towards expectations to what an insurance company is offering? And how big is the pressure to use kind of like more automated solutions to make a better profit on the margin, and but also to match these expectations clients may have today?
Well, definitely there are I think the mindset of a buyer has changed. So if you are buying something nowadays online, and obviously the pandemic did change how people behave in their buying, so that previously they were more starting the process online, but still moving kind of on site or with speaking with someone in the process. But what now people also are more used to search more information there. And I think if you look at the really successful, I was in a fair, in e-commerce fair in Berlin in the beginning of May, and what they were saying definitely, and they had case studies there as well, looking into how companies are, the really successful companies are able to explain what the product really is about. So as a buyer, you really understand, is it a coffee maker or whatever, you're kind of, what are the features in it? And you're more used to do this online and then just buy it. So it does cause that the buying funnels and the usage funnels as well needs to be in place, so that you really get the service instantly. People are used to getting an instant service instead of being in a queue for half an hour or to answer to questions which will take you half an hour to kind of get forward. So I think they're definitely, the amount of interactions that we do on a daily basis online, it's increasing, and it also makes that, okay, you need to be able to give your message in a shorter period of time. What is the value there?
So I imagine also now newer generations like the millennials buying insurance for the first time have a completely different expectations, right? Maybe they don't want to have the agent sit on their couch at home over coffee and fill out like some forms for them, right? But the expectation is digital, right? Like
the expectation is digital, and definitely yes, on a mobile device basically. So really, I think I think now the figures are, I don't remember the latest, but I've seen, but it's kind of like it has turned around, so you don't use your desktop anymore. You really are on your mobile and do everything there. And I think it's also the mindset there of thinking that, what do I really need? Where do I need kind of the cover? And what I've also always challenged the insurance companies that, well, consider what is important for a 16, 17, 18 years old, what we were considering when I'm 42 now, but what I was considering 20 years ago, what important for me, what they are considering important now. Then you get to the point that, okay, what would be kind of the security or the risk reduction and what it would benefit them. Then you're more to the point there.
Okay. So up to now we spoke a bit about let's say the sales and potentially underwriting step of the process, right? Now the moment of truth happens. There is a claim. Let's take motor, for example, right? There was an accident with the car. My car is damaged. How do you see expectations also there in the settlement of claims changing? What are insurers doing to provide a good, let's say, client experience in the moment of truth?
Well, I think this this is a lot market dependent as well. If looking at who owns the car, for example, nowadays, is it the leasing company? Is it privately leased? Is it company leasing? What kind of it starts also the process there, or do you own the car? So if you own it, you have more control of it, and then kind of I don't know, is the expectation even more higher if you have been the one selecting the car and the insurance on top of it.
Yeah.
So definitely that's kind of like looking it from the claims aspect really is that you need to know where you start the dialogue and how you're able to, because claims, despite I come from the claims background, despite the speed and what is there, is that you know what to do next, and that you have a capability to reach this usage of assistance in that place. This is important. So it's kind of in from an online aspect, you need to educate basically already when people are buying how to react if something happens.
Yeah. So personally, as you know, right, I come from the reinsurance background, and a hot topic in that industry in general has also been the topic of embedded insurance, right? You touched a bit on it, like who owns the car. Can you explain to our listeners what embedded insurance is, and give a couple of examples from different types of embedded insurance?
Yeah, sure. So embedded insurance, and I think I can bring it even to a bigger picture, because there's a lot of talk as well. Connected insurance. I think it's kind of like the variation which you want to utilize, but I think connected insurance describes better what it's at least going towards. So it means that you, in a buying stage, let's give an example. You buy a mobile phone. You're buying the mobile phone, and you consider, and then you go onwards on the flow. You're considering that what are different alternatives. I think nowadays it is that a lot of the brands already, and I think it's a good thing, but are also that you need to buy the charger nowadays also for your phone. You don't get it anymore on top of the phone, so you need to select it as an accessory. But I think it's good, because otherwise there were so many chargers around there in the world.
Yeah, I think
but
I
anyway,
some of them, right?
Yes. So you select your accessories. Then you're thinking of, okay, I need some kind of a cover, probably a risk coverage for this as well if I break it. And then you're being offered probably either it might be extended warranty for it, or usually it's nowadays extended warranty insurance, even though it's just the extended warranty. Or then you get a full-blown insurance product for that mobile phone, and you buy it on when you're actually making the purchase of the phone. Then you get the policy terms, you get everything in that process flow, and you buy it from one single location. So you buy it from the mobile provider. There is most likely they're not the insurance company. This is very, very seldom. I haven't seen, at least, but they buy it. They have a partner who will sell the insurance. You will buy it. But going further into the connected insurance part would be there that you go back to this. For example, you have bought it from a mobile provider who has an application which you have made the purchase. They will offer also the access to the claims part when something happens to the phone. So you're not jumping anymore to see where my terms are and you're reading the terms there. Instead of, you go to the one application, they will guide you through to the claims part, and they will assist you from that one point of entry. So that is kind of the connected insurance, and it is really definitely going forwards towards that direction. That is one example there. And embedded insurance in the sense now as touching the cars, well, there is if you look at, even though you can still select, but you are seeing more and more, for example, from Tesla having an own insurance company, and yes, you still can buy it from Nationwide or some other US brand there as well. But if you look at it, then kind of like it's embedded with the data that you get from the car. It calculates your premium, it collects the data, adjusts it on a yearly level, So really, it's kind of utilizing the data. So in this sense, in the first example, it's kind of you basically the data what you have from the buyer if you're buying a mobile phone is that, okay, how much the mobile phone cost was. But in a car, it's a lot more complex. It's how you drive, how you
behavior and consumption based.
Yeah, it's more consumption based, and it's how the service is. And interesting regards to, we've been talking of usage-based insurance, kind of that's it's a form of the embedded insurance, but that it hasn't really taken it really hasn't flown yet. But now I saw figures that in US there was, as an example, there was marketing spend in the beginning of the year or people who were marketed usage-based insurance for cars was 8%, but 14% of these people bought it. So there's more people buying usage-based insurance, even though they were not marketed for those people in US, for example. So really there's a shift in the market space, and it means as well that buyers are more aware and they search the information themselves. And I think this is the big thing as well for when you have all the digital processes. You will not be faced in the future. You need to have the AI and the robotics to deliver the services, to give details for buyers, because the buyers will not call you or come to the local office. You already have been disclosed or selected out from the process before anyone is going there. And then, and I said, it's part of the claims process, how automatic it can be. And I know, as an example from one of the Nordic insurance companies there, they had a process in the beginning when they were launching, they had for certain aspects completely automated claims reimbursement. But what they needed to do in the beginning, that they needed to slow down the process, because it was not trustworthy for me as getting a claims reimbursements 3 seconds afterwards when I had filed the claim onto their system, because they made the decision already there, but they slowed it down, and it actually the claim reimbursement or the cover, well, basically the payment of the claim came one day later. But now it's actually there. Now they have gone back to it, that it comes immediately, because we are used to it, so that you get instantly the service, and you get it because we know that it's being done automatically.
Yeah, so I've been in touch also with, let's say, a computer vision startup from Italy, working in that space, of settling claims in the motor space, right? Like estimating damages and basically improving the user experience at the moment of truth. But now getting back also a bit to the, let's say, the distribution, right? You mentioned that, okay, I'm buying this car and I'm buying the insurance like an add-on. It's already there, right? No need to go to have this separate contract with Nationwide. As an example. How do you see, so there is this fintech, a lot of fintech startups, distribution of insurance gets easier and easier because there is white label products and you don't necessarily need to be an insurer to sell insurance. And then there are the traditional insurers who have been in this business for a long time. What can both learn from each other, and how do you see these dynamics in the market evolve?
Well, I would definitely say that it comes down really to the strategical discussions as well from a company level. Kind of like, are you gonna be, and you're coming from the reinsurance side as well, is it that the traditional insurance company, some of them definitely have already now partially selected the role that they are kind of the reinsurer of products. They have separate platforms. I believe that quite few of the American companies actually have a kind of a fintech. What they actually are testing the market there. They own the fintech / insurtech completely, but then they are looking into the space of kind of being the reinsurer for that company and still upholding the existing business areas. But what we do and what we look at is really that, okay, what companies make sense to work together. I think this is kind of the big innovation gap is still there, that there's a lot of brilliant ideas coming out from insurtechs and fintechs and health techs and regtechs. There's a lot of them, but startup space generally, but kind of to really meet up that, okay, how this is being transformed as value for the buyer. either with the insurance company, and to do so is obviously you utilize data. You need to have a lot of good data analytics in between in order that you see that what kind of product works. And I believe that definitely looking at the in some areas, not in all, but in a lot of areas still the old traditional incumbent insurance companies have a lot of traditional data. But these could be utilized in a new way by a fintech or an insurtech that to utilize it, looking the data differently than the traditional insurance companies have looked at before, and then come by that, okay, here's, for example, is a product space that has not been utilized before at all, that there would be still buyers on it. But I think it comes down to being brave as well. Insurance companies and the insurance industry has not been so proactive in trying out, because with the data you can also, and with automation, you can adjust things a lot more quicker than having traditional underwriters underwriting everything and rewriting terms and conditions. I think there definitely is a gap still.
Yeah. So as you're saying, so insurance has always been about data, right? And assessing data and using data to assess risks. Now, looking at the global scale, who has a lot of data, right? It's the big tech, the firms, right? The Facebooks and Googles of this world. You mentioned Tesla. Well, they also have data, but in a, let's say, particular field. How can you explain that big tech hasn't jumped massively yet on insurance?
Well, one thing is actually money. And money from the aspect that if you look at, well, let's say I haven't seen the latest figures, but how much insurance industry is paying for Google of advertisement. And looking at it from that aspect, that yes, will you move that? Okay, if I would go to I would not be the CEO. I would go to my CEO saying that I see there's a great potential in this specific industry, but we would basically kill the marketing
revenues,
goose on this sense. I think that definitely is one of the big drivers there. I think from the aspect that because none of these, if you look at Google's dominant position there in the space of web searchers, and they're there for any area. But if you look at, I think they definitely have been, and you see it as well from Amazon's point of view, they have hired a lot of insurance background people, because people go for their platform, for their marketplace on a specific reason to buy something, and they already have launched some of the products to the insurance space. In India, they have a motorbike insurance, if I remember correctly, and they have also other insurance areas there, what they're trying out for example, vendors, that you have a vendor insurance onto your products and so forth. So, and I would say that it needs to go deeper than being on the surface. I think Google partially is too much in the front, because kind of like before, for them to jump into it. Facebook has created a lot of connections towards the insurance industry. You buy an insurance through pages of the flow in Facebook, for example. So they have the connection there. But if looking at it from the aspect of what is there happening and kind of more on a, let's say, on a more precise level it goes. If I would, for example, and that already exists, you're an Uber driver, you are insured when you're riding via the platform. Uber offers you an insurance there. Or I heard also there was an interesting startup in Indonesia and Malaysia. They were running a business so that they were insuring the food delivery, individual people who were delivering food for those startups. So they were covered once you were driving, so that the insurance always kicked in once you were driving when you were delivering food in your individual platform. So I think it goes a bit deeper than where in the surface these really big techs are, most of them. But I would say that excluding Amazon as from the reach and kind of the potential what they have in the background.
Okay, yeah. So these, let's say, digital ecosystem and insurance ecosystems are getting like interconnected more and
Yes.
more. So it's basically there where the buyers are. I wanted to ask you, what are the, let's say, so you're working on digital marketplaces. Where do you see the journey going? What do you consider to be the trends for the next 5 to 10 years?
On the digital marketplaces.
Digital marketplaces for insurance, yeah.
I would say that they start to be more and more interconnected to the processes, being more embedded there. I think it will be more and more difficult for people if it's not being built like there are some players in some local markets. In Germany, there's one big player where you are basically comparing all your, from electricity to gas to cars to whatever, and that you go and compare there whatever it is as an area, and then you have insurance there as well. Then you kind of end up also to be on that platform. But if looking at it from this point of departure, I will go and buy a house. In the future, I will buy the insurance in the process from the real estate company or from the bank who loans me the money. And they probably have a very good to offer there into the process as well if I commit into it. So it's kind of really the mindset there, that what is kind of what is happening there. So I think that's definitely, it will be more embedded. And I would say that the buyers are less looking for an individual insurance product in the future. So there definitely needs to come, the value needs to come from something else than kind of covering the risk in many of the cases. That's why, for example, in life insurance, there's a very good example of this company called AIA in Asia, which has really utilized data and partnerships to collect all relevant data relating to health. And when they're collecting the data, then they also are committed to sign up and utilizing how healthy you're living or how healthy you're acting, and supporting the healthy lifestyle, instead of the other way around, that just getting the premium from a life insurance and not supporting the journey how to be and live longer.
And that again, with digital technology, you can, let's say, take the customer on this journey throughout the years.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I would say that it goes further and further in from the sense that I would say that the insurance companies, really the big ones especially, they will have their own digital platforms where they are doing different things. So the kind of Allianz has their own reach of what they have branded as a health insurance, for example. Or what they have branded as being a car insurance, for example. That kind of, just they have the power to do so. But I would say that it still gives room as well for individual insurtechs and fintechs who are being able to find those niche areas, which you have a good buying base, that people are interested of the product. So that's why the data collection and analytics regards to the data is important, so that you're able to utilize it.
Okay, so I mean, as I said, so the name of this podcast is Real AI Now, right? So AI is powering and enabling even these processes, right? So it's not.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It is there. I think that it will definitely be the core driver, as data has been already in the past. But it needs to be more relevant for the buyer in order that they will commit to the products as well.
Okay, maybe looking a bit at cool insurance product, novel ideas you wouldn't have thought about, I don't know, 10 years ago. What would be the one you would pick and say, wow, this was an exciting new product an insurer has brought to the market?
Well, definitely, I think this is kind of, and that's even a no-brainer. I heard it, you mentioned the parametric insurance, but kind of the no-brainer of that there's an automated service that looks that if the cloud is offline, that you're not able to access your data on the cloud. Yeah. And there's an automated process to give you some of the losses that you can that there's an automated claims reimbursement there as a parametric insurance. That is one thing that kind of like, yeah, it should have been there already. I think that's one of the things. But also I think now when looking into the weather and those, definitely all the flood insurances where you kind of have estimated what is a flood level, then that's a flood that will automatically, without any, and you get the data from satellite pictures and so forth.
And payment is triggered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and distributed in without any human interaction there. Definitely these are there, and I think it's definitely of looking kind of what the pandemic did for people is the ones that it's more going, when you look at a bio age, what you have really done for your body and how you're able to look at how you are living now in order that you live a healthy life 20-30 years, that you have support from products that are really committed to give you a guidance how to eat healthier, how to do exercises and so forth, and to utilize that side. These are, I think, very important ones.
Yeah. So nobody's insurer giving like subscribers for life insurance this Fitbit, right? So like to also keep track of their let's say moves and counting the steps throughout the day, right? So that's
and not only steps. I think if you look at what all these different appliances can collect, I saw now a really cool application which basically scans your face and gives you a kind of a health measurement there, without any interaction of saying that you met the doctor or anything. They calculate from the expressions and using just a smartphone camera there. And this you can then give to your customers, and now you have a high stress level or whatever. They're kind of like really that if people want to give more options to be healthier as well, because this in the long run as well is beneficial for the companies there. And I think from the other sense as well is kind of like, if looking at it from through the data, is that what can happen in the future. I think this is more, we should be able to be predicting partially the future events there in like the drought in crops or whatever there, so that you kind of are able to support that the farmer who has a drought will not stop their business, because that will be very important for the following year again, so that they're able to really keep up their work there. So I think these all are very important ones there to be considered in the future.
And this is again, for instance, you mentioned crops now, also with droughts, we're speaking now, right? So like basically, if you buy some of the crops from the big players, right, you're buying the insurance with that, right? You have a guarantee that your crop will be having a certain performance, and if not, you're getting some money back, right? So to survive.
Yeah.
Okay. So exciting times ahead in the area of insurance and AI-powered trends. So thank you very much, Jussi, for this interesting discussion today.
Thank you.
Thanks for the insights on the trends in insurance and also where the journey is going. And pleasure was all mine. So thanks for being my guest.
Thank you. It was very, very nice, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. And for our subscribers, please like this episode. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to this episode of the podcast Real AI now. Thanks for listening in, and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.